What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around at the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old cask strength from 2023. Stick around. Alright, so it's another Bunnahabhain today. I've been on a re-review streak with these guys. I looked at the 18-year-old again recently. I looked at the this one again recently, and now I'm re-reviewing the 12-year-old cask strength. Now, I realize this one isn't actually a re-review because those other two are standard releases, while this one is actually marketed as a batch product, but that didn't stop me from saying it. Now, I've got one bottle here, but I've got two glasses poured, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, I like to party, and two, this is actually going to be a side-by-side between the 2023 and the 2022. Except not really. Basically, we'll treat this as a review for the 2023 because I did look at the 2022 last year. I gave it a good score, so we're not going to be doing like tasting notes and whatnot for this one. But later on, when I get to the thoughts area, I will be comparing the two, and I'll tell you what my preferences are, what the similarities are, all that. Anyway, with regards to the 2023, they don't give us too much information. They didn't in previous years either. What we do know is that it's unpeated and that it's sherried. That's about it. As far as reactions go, the 2023 has been very well received, but not quite as well received as last year's, the 2022, which got almost universal acclaim. Critics loved it. It pulled in big numbers at the box office, and it got 2 thumbs up from this guy right here. I love this stuff. I give it 92 points, which in retrospect seems like a lot. So we've got a couple questions to go through today. Question 1, a year later, how does the 2022 hold up? And question 2, how does the 2023 compare? So I've got a tough day ahead of me. I've got 2 cask strength Bunnahabhains to get through, which won't be easy. And I've got to talk about whiskey, which is obviously something I hate doing. So it will be an afternoon of sorrow and sacrifice. But luckily, through sheer resilience and an iron will, I am going to soldier through this. I am an absolute trooper, so let's not waste any more time talking about these. Let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. So our 2023 release is stronger than last year's release. Last year was 56.6%. This one comes in at a whopping 60.1%, which is bonkers. As always though, this is fully craft, so it's non-chill filtered and it's natural color. So we've got a pretty typical Bunnahabhain look here, but it is a good look. I like it. The 2023 says it's sherried, nutty, and unpeated. The 2022 says it's sherried, spicy, and unpeated, but aside from that, the 2 bottles are identical. They look good, so we'll give them 4 out of 5. They do say non-chill filtered, natural color, cask strength. They give us some very basic tasting notes on the bottle, although we get a lot more on the sleeve, to be fair. Yeah, look is good. Info could be better, but all the basics are covered, so we're fine. I did add water here. On the nose, this is sherried, but it's not as full on as last year's. It is more restrained. We get some big spices in here. There's cinnamon, there's pepper, there's chili. We do get some alcohol tingle. It is very nutty with like roasted nuts. There's cashews, almonds, almond butter, maple butter. This is earthy. We get vanilla incense. We get some dry desiccated leaves. It's a nice nose. On the palate and finish, this is full, mouth coating, and intense. Again, very heavy on the spices, lots of chili, lots of pepper. We get some drying oak spice here, some dry sherry comes in after that. We get some Christmas cake, there's some dark fruits in here. There's like slightly sour purple grapes, there's blackcurrant, there's blueberries, there's cherry syrup, there's earthy notes in here, there's oaky notes in here. This is a long, spicy finish. All right, so this is good. It is notably different from last year's, and I kind of knew that going in. I'd heard as much, but I guess I just didn't realize how different it was going to be because a lot. The 2023 goes much more earthy and spicy. It isn't as sherried as the 2022. It isn't as soft or as rounded either. It's hotter. So if you like them spicier, you're going to prefer the 2023, and if you like them sweeter and rounder, you'll like the 2022. I'm still talking about whiskey, by the way. The ones who like the 2023 aren't going to be so sensitive to that prickle. They'll appreciate the heat, the oak spice, the pepper, because there's a lot of that. But those people will be the minority. Like, I do understand why most people end up preferring the 2022. Bunnahabhain, for the most part, is known for being sherried and rounded, and that's what the 2022 is. The 2023, not so much. I don't know what they changed in terms of production or how the casks were used differently, but it is a jump. The 2023 is more raw, there's less cask influence here, and the sherry casks that were used just feel a lot more tired. So even though I do think it's good, it's undeniably a spicier and rougher whiskey. Personally, I don't really mind that. Like, I do like it spicy and rough sometimes, that's what she said, but I'm not going to go against the grain here. I am going to side with the crowd on this one. I prefer the 2022. Between the two, I just find the 2022 not just more approachable, but more viscerally enjoyable. Do I think the 2023 is a bad whiskey? No, not at all. It's good. Am I disappointed? Yeah, maybe a little bit, slightly. Is it as good as the 2022? No, definitely not. Do I have any further questions for myself? No, I'm good. Now, I realize I'm being pretty rough on this whiskey, but in all fairness, it's being pretty rough on me. That said, there are some positives here. Even though it is a hotter, spicier whiskey, if you want that earthy Bunna distillate to come through more, you are getting that. And there are going to be some people who appreciate the more challenging and rugged aspects to this, but they will be the minority. It does have stuff going on, but personally, I like it. I don't love it, and I just think the bar was set too high by the 2022 release. One thing I should say here, though, is that I do actually appreciate it when batch products or things that are marketed as batch products are actually batchy. Like, I don't want or need them to be the same time and time again. I'm all for variations in flavor. I think it keeps things interesting, and subjectively, you will get variations in quality. For me, it is a visceral drop in enjoyment, and that does kind of sting. And what also kind of stings is the actual whiskey. It's a pretty raw whiskey, but again, still very good. It still gets a good score. I'm giving this 86. And yes, I do realize that I just shat all over this whiskey for the past 2 minutes and then gave it a good score. Such as the unpredictable nature of a gwhisky review. It's classic Jeff. As for the 2022 specifically, still a beautiful whiskey, still love it. It's softer, it's rounder, it tastes more mature thanks to the more active casks, and again, much more approachable and viscerally enjoyable. So I still think it's a great whiskey. I'm gonna land on 89. I don't like it as much as I did last year, but I still love it. I guess it was a very excitable little fella at the time. I don't think it breaks into the 90+ point whiskeys anymore, but I still absolutely love it, and I do recommend it. So if you've got an option between the two, if you can still find the 2022 on the shelves, the 2022 for me is the clear buy. If that's not there, don't disregard the 2023. Most of this review was just comparing the two, and that's where it falls short. On its own, it's still an excellent whiskey, and it's worth picking up. Finally, before we move on, I do want to give a quick thank you to all my patrons and channel members. Guys, thank you so much for the support. And if you want to help out, if you want to help keep the channel financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways that you can help. I have both Patreon and PayPal listed in the description down below. Anything and everything helps, guys. And again, a massive thank you to those of you who are already supporting the channel. Now let's talk about value. So good value here. I don't know if this happened in other markets, but here in Taiwan, last year, the price of the Bunna 12 cask strength fell, which means I paid less than I did the previous year for the 2022. So while I don't like the 2023 quite as much, it cost less, and that definitely softened the blow. I paid about 90 US or roughly 75 pounds for the 2022, and then I paid like 80 US or roughly 65 pounds for the 2023. So that was nice. Now, I've heard that prices for this can be all over the place depending on your market. I'm lucky to live in Taiwan where things are particularly cheap, but I'm curious what you guys paid for the 2023 or what you're being asked to pay for the 2023, and if it's changed from what you were asked to pay for the 2022, because it seems very disjointed. Maybe I got lucky here in Taiwan and it's the only place that got cheaper, but I mean, hell, I'll take it. I'm not going to complain. From my perspective, for what I paid for this, I think it's a great deal. Yeah, it's a flawed whiskey, but it's a big beast of a whiskey. It's flavorful, and yes, it does taste good. So recommended as long as the price is fair. And that brings us to the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, I've got Patreon and PayPal down below. I really want to hear from you about this one because this is a popular whiskey and a lot of noise was made about how it changed between the 2022 and the 2023. What are your thoughts on the 2023? Have you tried it yet? How do you feel about the 2022? Have you done the side-by-side? Let me know all of that down below. And I guess that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.